We could use a day off from the Rays. Oh, gosh, if they were out there, they'd probably make an error or an errant throw to first base.
No.
What?
You insulted him a little
I'm
bit.
just saying. It's hideous what we're experiencing so far. I mean, the defense is atrocious.
This could be a very much-needed day off, Tom, ahead of a big series here at the Trop tomorrow.
Boy, I haven't seen a defense this bad since Iran against our strike. All right, that's nothing to joke about. Come on, that's a worldwide problem that's happening here. The Rays defense, Iran's defense, kind of on par, sort of. But we'll talk about the Rays. There's a lot of Rays talk. We're actually going to touch on a lot of different subjects today because we're on the air for 4 hours. Lightning have a big game up in Montreal tonight against Les Habitants. What is that going to look like? This is going to be a tough matchup for the Lightning. We'll get into that. We'll get into the Buccaneers. The NFL draft is 2 weeks from today. The Bucs draft day dilemma. And boy, oh boy, and I'm reading about it this morning too. It gets even more tricky for Jason Light and Company, and I'll explain why coming up in a matter of moments. The Masters is underway. We'll get into that. Nim Jantz is standing by. So we'll get you updated on what the leaderboard looks like at the Masters. But ladies and gentlemen, 1 hour from now, you can watch him on 10 News, my guy. And I saw him. I felt bad for him on opening day where we're lining up to get our credentials. It's like 900 degrees outside. And I'm looking behind me, and my guy, my good friend Evan Klosky of 10 News, as he was all dressed up. He looked very nice in his very, 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 very nice suit, by the way.
That's a clown suit. That's a costume with a big sign on it that says arrest me.
And, he's sweating. Everybody's, sweating, waiting on this line for the Rays to give us our credentials. Evan Klosky will join us coming up at 3:05, and we'll touch on a myriad of subjects with him. Rays on the field, Rays Stadium deal, Lightning, Bucks. Evan Klosky of 10 News at 3:05. Then at 4:05, we'll get into the Rays and all things Major League Baseball, one of the more respected baseball minds in the business. Tim Kurkjian of ESPN will join me at 4:05. He does a podcast with his son called Great Game or What? I think that's awesome. And he's going to join us coming up at 4:05. We'll talk Rays and MLB with him. Some really interesting numbers involving Major League Baseball average salaries and the payroll and everything else. We'll get into that in a matter of moments. And could we see a work stoppage after this season? Tim Kurkjian of ESPN will have some insight coming up at 4:05. In the 5 o'clock hour, Lightning are playing tonight. You've got some prop bets and features and everything else. We're going to let it ride coming up at 5:30. These things happen, better down here than up there. You know what I mean? Let it ride is coming up a little bit later on in that 5 o'clock hour. And, of course, your phone calls and texts will take you up until 6 o'clock. Then it's a Rock Riley, yeah. The Rays forgot their gloves. It was in the locker room. They were out there. They couldn't catch a ball, couldn't feel the ball, couldn't throw the ball. Rock Riley is coming up at 6 o'clock here on this Let It Ride Thursday. Speaking of the Rays, oh, boy. Their biggest issue so far in this young season strikes again. Can they right the ship with the Yankees coming up this weekend? And what does the landscape of the Major League Baseball financial structure look like? That is the theme of our opening drive.
Tampa Bay Sports Radio presents The Opening Drive.
An impressive opening drive.
What an opening drive. With TKras.
Yeah. Went to the game last night. And it was great, except for the actual play on the field, which was not great. Yeah. I did manage to locate the speakeasy. And it's beautiful the way they set it up. Unfortunately, you got to have, the premium seats, the home plate club behind home plate. I snuck in there. And the candy room is connected to the speakeasy. And it was really nice. It's delightful. You go into the candy room, and it's every 8-year-old's delight. It's every 8-year-old's dream. There's candy all over the place, candy bars, cupcakes, sweets, cookies. I mean, if you have a sweet tooth, I mean, you're diving head first, like Pete Rose, into the candy room. And it was fantastic. So there's a connecting room. You go into the candy room, and then you go in, then you cut a right, and then down 3 steps, and then to the left. And there it is, in all of its beauty, the Speakeasy. And it was beautiful. There are 2 bartenders in there. It was wonderful. I ordered myself an old-fashioned, and they made it perfectly. They smoked it, too, which was great. It was a nice little touch, and it was perfect. You go to your seat. You're watching the game. You know, you're watching the Rays commit 3 errors in 1 inning. But at least, you know, there was... What?
You insulted him a little bit.
What's an insult? It's the truth. 1 inning, there were 3 errors. And that basically was a game. But it was... outside of the game itself, the Speakeasy was fantastic. And I ran into Mrs. Ryan Pepio last night, his lovely wife, Lilia, so got a chance to chat it up with her for a little bit.
Thanks, man.
No, thank you. And Pepio texted me this morning. He's like, hey, man, how was that Speakeasy? I'm like, it was real nice, Clark, to quote Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation. It was fantastic. Oh, come on!
That was another ridiculously useless movie quote regurgitation from TKras.
That guy's an asswipe.
Shut up. I'm just answering his question. And the only way I know how is to use a movie quote, and it was real nice. The game itself was not. And, you know, Joe Boyle was doing pretty good for a while, and then he ran into some trouble, and his defense completely failed him. 3 errors in 1 inning. Boom. That's all it takes, especially against a good team like the Chicago Cubs, who ended up winning the game last night 6-2, thanks to that big 1 inning in which the Rays really let that game get away. 5 runs in the 5th inning, and that was it. And that's that. You know, offensively, it wasn't great for the 2nd straight game. They got held to 2 runs. You know, Chandler Simpson got caught stealing third base. The Rays did have 2 stolen bases. Simpson had 1. He's now up to 5 on the season. Then he tried to get greedy. He tried to take third. He got thrown out. Johnny DeLuca also stole a base. But Jake Fraley had a throwing error, as did Jonathan Aranda and Hunter Fiducia. 3 errors in 1 inning. And that's the thing. And when you talk about the Rays and what they've done so far through the first 12 games, they're 5-7. This team can compete. They can, if they just stop beating themselves. And these errors that they're committing, very much un-Rays-like. And by far, the Rays are leading all of Major League Baseball with 17 errors, folks. 17 in just 12 games. The next closest teams, the Red Sox and the Nationals, with 12 errors in 12 games. The Rays have 17, which is an obscene number. You're not going to beat anybody doing that. You're only beating yourselves. And if they clean up that part of it, yeah, having Taylor Walls back is great. Gavin Lux, whatever he decides to come back in the next couple of days, I would think, to play second base, he might solidify things there. I think he's a solid defender. And look, if you have an issue like learning how to, I don't know, field a ball in the outfield or set up a relay situation, then continue to work on that. Those are things you work on throughout the course of spring training. But if you have an issue, today's an off day, let's work on that. I know you want to give the players a day off because it's a long season, but, you know, you got another off day coming up on Monday, too. The Rays clearly need to get out on the field 5 hours before the game and start doing some of these drills. Some of these drills that they should already have down pat. Like, I don't know, relay throws from deep in the outfield when a ball is hit in the gap or off a wall or something. I mean, these are basic things that the Rays are not doing well. By the way, in case you're wondering, the team with the fewest amount of errors is a team that the Rays are already seen this season. The Milwaukee Brewers, through 12 games, they have 1 error. And it shows they are 8-4. The Cincinnati Reds have committed 2 errors. Guess what? They're 8-4 as well, tied for first with the aforementioned Brewers atop the NL Central. The Guardians, 3 errors. The Athletics, 3 errors. The Dodgers, 3 errors. The Rockies, 3 errors. And all of these teams are either at 500 or better so far this season. The Guardians are in first place, 3 errors. They're 8-5. The Rockies, 3 errors. They're 6-6. The Dodgers, 3 errors. That's it. In 12 games, they're in first place at 9-3. The A's are the only team below 500. Of all those teams that have committed 3 errors or less, the A's are 4-7. So if the Rays can just catch the ball, throw the ball, field the ball in a timely manner, make all the routine plays. I get it. The tough plays are really tough to make unless you're a guy like Taylor Walls. Just make the routine plays. Don't try and be a superhero out there. And it's basic stuff, things that you worked on or should have worked on throughout the course of the spring or before games. And I think that's exactly how the Rays need to combat it. I don't think the Rays are as bad as they've shown us defensively so far. It's got to get better. And look, at 5-7, when you consider the 17 errors and the fact that the bullpen hasn't been great, I don't think the Rays are in a terrible position. The errors are maddening. There's no question. And this is not how the Rays have built themselves up over the years. This is not their reputation. Pitching and defense has always been their thing. And the pitching, the starting pitching is good. The bullpen, uneven. But the defense has been atrocious. The worst in all of Major League Baseball. And you're not going to beat teams doing that way. You're only beating yourselves. But I don't think they're as bad as what they've shown so far. And they better tighten it up because the Yankees are coming into town this weekend. You know all of their fans will be there. They're 8-3. You better catch the ball against them because the one thing that the Yankees do well is they will make you pay for your mistakes. You make a mistake pitch, Aaron Judge will put it into the second deck. You give them an extra out, they will also make you pay and extend an inning on you. So the Rays have to play their A game this weekend if they're going to have any chance of trying to win this series against the Yankees team. That's off to a really good start. 888-388-0957. Text at 82945. So the other thing, Major League Baseball related, that caught my eye, and we'll talk about this when Tim Kirchin joins us coming up at 4:05. The Associated Press released a study of Major League Baseball and the payrolls of all 30 teams. The average salary for a Major League Baseball player rose almost 3.5% over the last year. It is now at a record $5.34 million. And for the 4th straight year, the New York Mets lead everybody in terms of having the top payroll in baseball. The Mets payroll is at $352 million. The LA Dodgers are next at $317 million, but there's a caveat there. The Dodgers have deferred a number of contracts, in fact, 9 of them. So if it wasn't for those deferred contracts, the Dodgers' payroll would be at $395 million. Andrew Friedman, working his wizardry out there in L.A., you know, he's applying a lot of those same principles that led him to being a really good baseball executive here with the Rays. But unlike here in Tampa Bay, he has unlimited resources, and he is using that to his advantage. God bless him. So the Mets, $352 million. Dodgers are at $317 million. And then you have the team that will be visiting the Rays starting tomorrow and this weekend at $282 million. That would be
The New York Yankees?
The New York Yankees!
Yeah. Ruth, Gehrig, DiMaggio, Costanza. Well, the Yankees have the third highest payroll. Philadelphia's next at $269 million. Actually, $282 million, Philadelphia. $269 is Toronto. Atlanta, $244. And you're wondering, where do the Rays stand? How much is the Rays payroll? Well, according to the Associated Press, the Rays payroll is at $89 million, bottom five. The Nationals are lower at 84. White Sox 82, Marlins 76, and the Cleveland Guardians in first place in the American League Central. They have a payroll of $62 million. That is the lowest in all of Major League Baseball. But there are more teams spending than ever before. There are 6 clubs with payrolls of $250 million or more, up from 4. There are 10 teams. So a third of the teams are spending $200 million. That's up from 9 teams. There are 8 teams under $100 million. That's up from 5. The Tigers had a big increase. They upped their payroll by $64 million to $206 million. And that, of course, is because they had to give Tarek Skubal a huge raise through arbitration. He's making $32 million. And they also signed Framber Valdez to a huge contract, so they upped their payroll. The Braves increased their payroll by $44 million. They're at $252 million. But not everybody is increasing their payroll. The Cubs, by the way, the Cubs, Blue Jays, and Mets, they upped their payrolls by almost $30 million apiece. The Twins slashed their payroll more than $46 million. They're at $96.5 million. The Cardinals, whom the Rays saw the first 3 games of the season, they have cut their payroll by $41 million. They were at $141.5 million. Now they're down to $100. The Guardians, they cut their payroll. They're at $62 million. They cut it by $40 million. Texas cut their payroll by $37 million. Washington cut theirs by $23 million. So you're asking, why some of these teams cutting payroll? Well, it just so happens, folks, that after this season, the collective bargaining agreement is up. And there will be a work stoppage. Owners who are trying to protect themselves from themselves are trying to bring up the salary cap issue once again. The players are never going to go for it. The owners apparently are more adamant than ever before in terms of instituting the salary cap. So you're going to have 2 sides. And the players' union, one of the very best in all of this country that we live in, they've always won these CBA wars with the owners. Every time that the owners come forth with an idea to cut payroll, whether it's salary cap, to cap some of these salaries, the players have been against it. The players have waited them out. The players have won. But it feels like this time around, the owners are hell-bent on instituting some sort of structure that are going to cap some of these payrolls. I mean, look at the highest payroll, the Mets at $352 million. The lowest is $62 million, which is Cleveland. The Mets are 5 times more on their payroll than the Guardians are. That's a huge disparity. So I think the owners are looking to kind of even things out a little bit. And if you're going to do that, I think you're going to have to institute a higher floor so that, you know, teams like the Guardians or the White Sox or the Nats or the Marlins or our Rays don't spend a heck of a lot less than everybody else. Now, the Mets are the perfect example that you can spend a ton of money, and, they haven't won a World Series since 1986. So you can spend a lot of money. I don't know if they're spending it in the right places. That's their problem. But I think you're going to see a high-stakes poker game play itself out after the season. The owner's on one side, the players on the other. Who blinks first? I do believe we will have a work stoppage. And it does have the potential to be a long one. One that could be damaging to this game, which has been thriving over the last couple of years with the rules changes and everything else to quicken the game. I think the ABS challenge thing is a good idea. It's done very promptly. It moves the game along. Games are not 3.5 hours. They're 2 hours and 15 minutes now. 2 hours, 20 minutes. And you're home by 10 o'clock. That's the way baseball wanted it. So they're about to disrupt any kind of momentum that they've had in recent years with this pending work stoppage after the year. And I think it's going to be a long one. It will be. How will they handle it? Stay tuned. All I got to say is you better enjoy baseball while we have it, because after the year, it's going to get ugly. Great to have you with us on this Let It Ride Thursday. 888-388-0957. Text at 82945. What a show. Evan Klosky at 3 o'clock. We'll talk to Tim Kirkchin about this issue and about the Rays at 4 o'clock. Let It Ride in the 5 o'clock hour. We're on the air to 6 o'clock on this beautiful Let It Ride Thursday.
There's a show. That's a show.
That's a show. All right, when we come back, so we've gotten into this the last couple of days. The NFL draft is 2 weeks from today. What is the latest buzz regarding the Buccaneers and pick number 15? Things are going to get very complicated for the Buccaneers regarding that pick. And a guy that a lot of fans are clamoring for has more than one ding against him. I'm going to tell you about that coming up next.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
All right, great to have you with us on The Drive. It is driven by our guys over at Moss Nissan, where their goal is to never lose your business over price. TKras and Chris Mathis here. We are satisfied Moss Nissan customers, and you will be too, especially after you hear what great offers they've got going on down there, Chris.
It is impressive, Tom. Tampa, go drive by any of the 3 Moss Nissan locations. Incredible cars all across the lots. New car offers ongoing right now all month long. Plus, you're not going to spend $1 in fuel costs for the first 90 days. That's right, $0 in fuel costs for 90 days at Moss Nissan.
What? That's incredible. And you need to get down to Moss Nissan because you'll get a great vehicle. No money down on fuel costs for 90 days. 0% on Nissan's best-selling models, including the Murano, the Pathfinder, the Frontier, and the Rogue. And no payments for 90 days as well. So get on down there and make yourself a great deal. They want to make a great deal for you on a great vehicle. Drive it off the lot, and you can save money on gas, too. They're in North Tampa, Newport Richey, or Brooksville, or online at mossnissan.com. Moss Nissan, whatever it takes.